Hello, everybody.
Well, we already have a mic here. What do you
have a mic? We got it. I said, let's bring him up. Mike, you're looking very handsome.
Thank you.
Yeah, let's go. Oh, we were thinking about, like, I don't know why the compliment topic came out, and a couple of weeks ago you asked us for compliments from us, Shreve. I think you did for us. And you remember our compliments? Who gave you the best? And it's probably mine.
It was definitely you. I don't remember any of the compliments, but it was definitely you.
I gave you a great compliment today on Voicemail Dump Truck.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Being financially responsible for someone is the greatest compliment you can give him.
Wasn't what, like I said you have nice hair, Mike said you're a good friend, Christian called you a piece of shit or something? Wasn't it like that? What are you talking about?
He definitely.
I said you.
Yeah, well,
you said you caked up. You're caked up, boy.
Oh yeah, that's pretty good.
Right.
Yeah,
Actually,
I've been working on them.
That actually is pretty good. Yeah.
All right, there's that. Let's fix my camera, I suppose. Superchat's good.
Yep. I want to get this. 1080p 60 FPS or 1080p 30 FPS for this relatively on sale Logitech C9 X Pro Stream.
Yeah, so those are okay. I would just go one step up.
Yeah, but the one step, I mean, the one step up is a good deal more. But
Next Switch stuffs are gonna pay for it in like a couple.
I mean, I use
it is a huge part of your job now. You know.
That's also that.
Yeah, the better one is the Logitech MX Brio Ultra HD.
The Brio is pretty expensive. I think the face cam and the Brio are pretty close though.
Yeah.
Or you can buy a regular camera.
Always, man. You get no zippy tummy. Yeah, I hear you, bud. Gets easier.
Ooh. The Ozempic boys.
Okay,
I didn't need a Ozempic. I just got really sick.
You just got a worm, yeah, in your stomach, yeah.
I got stone on my gobblers, so it forced me to eat healthy.
Okay.
Gobbler.
So maybe do that.
Okay.
Get stones on your gobbler. Don't do it. It sucks. It's bad.
Let me get the music, and I think we should be pretty good to go.
This 170 Logitech Brio Pro X.
You guys hear that?
Nope.
Nope.
Okay. Oh, that's right. I switched everything for the last show, so wait, no, it doesn't fucking make sense. I switched it back. What's going on here? Oh, okay, I switched it in here. Heard that?
There we go.
Yep, cool.
Yeah.
Have I heard it?
All right. There's that.
Tweet.
Okay. Yeah, I'll tweet, and then I think we're good.
Tweet. Are you gonna post on X? The everything up.
I hate everything you just said there.
Post them in Blue Sky as well. Get those blue ski.
Yeah, go skeet. What happened to skeeting?
Okay.
You want to buzz?
Skeeted.
Oh, B week. We missed to post on the Hive during B week.
Oh yeah, we didn't post on the
shit. Oh my god. Bring it back. So B week.
Oh my god.
Season 2.
Fucking green flash that happens, of course, because I'm not using OBS. I'm gonna buy a webcam.
Okay.
Okay.
Tweeted, skeeted, and freaked, which is what I think they call it on Threads.
I can't stop
let's
calling
go.
it that. They just won't.
Okay, I'm gonna start the show.
Yeah, you can start the show.
All right, here we go. In 5, 4, 3. The internet, you're busy. Let's do this. Welcome to the Game Mess Decides podcast. This is the podcast where we decide everything about the world of games so you never have to think for yourself. I'm your host, Jeff Grubb, and with me is
Mike Menotti.
In today's episode, Nintendo sues Palworld, PlayStation turns 30, and I want to give them my money. Plus, we give you the real top 10 best NES games of all time. Oh, and I flew a plane. But first, Mike, how are you doing?
I'm good. I didn't fly a plane, but I'm all right.
Yeah.
I don't think I would.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of people made that choice. The Vinny and Charles Hart both were like, no, we're just going to go with the helicopter. Would you have ridden in the helicopter?
That's what I was thinking. I think maybe I would actually rather fly the plane than be on the helicopter. I've never been on a helicopter.
Smart man.
You could have just sat in the plane. You didn't have to fly it, but you might have been in there when other games journalists were flying it.
It does seem like they made it kind of foolproof flying a plane. So if I was gonna, I'm more worried about being in small planes than like flying it. Not mean to be saying you weren't flying it, you were, but you know what I mean. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this small plane is the one that has the parachute. It's got a button that returns to like the closest airport if the pilot dies. A lot of safety features on there, so a lot of mitigation for all the concerns that you might have for being in a small plane. But I still get it. Like, you really feel the turbulence in there. Like when Dean was flying, it was midday. It was like heating up, and all the thermals coming out of the Grand Canyon were just kind of bombarding the plane, and so it got pretty bumpy when Dean was flying. It was you could really feel it. I did that because I went out to Grand Canyon for the flight simulator thing. There's a video on Giant Bomb. Go watch that. It's a really good time. I guess I'll talk about it a little bit, I guess, from what I've been playing. But I've talked about it now a bunch of times in a bunch of places. I suppose if people have questions, you could send in super chats and all that stuff. We'll talk about it then. But
it's kind of fucked up that air can be bumpy.
Yeah, I mean, really, when you think about it, it's also just a fluid. Like air is a really thin ocean. That's all. It's messed up, and I don't like it. But yeah, I mean, I guess it's nice because that means we get to breathe it and stuff, and I enjoy that part. You looking forward to this weekend? Looking forward to the Cleveland Gaming Classic?
Oh, definitely looking forward to the
I
Cleveland.
don't want to dox you, but if people want to come say hi, that's fine.
Yeah, come say hi if you're going to be at the IX Center. Yeah, I mean, we're going the last day. There's 2 days really of the vendors, and part of me's like, wherever all the good stuff's gone, we'll be fine. I got a list of some things I'm really looking for. I'm gonna put together here, so hopefully get at least a couple big ticket items, even some small ones that I just haven't been able to find for some reason. Like Ridge Racer 5 was a PS2 launch game, should not be that hard to find. I just never come across it for some reason. So if I see that, Parasite Eve 1, I've been looking for at a reasonable price, complete in box for quite a while now. And I know there's some other things that I'm not thinking of. And not so much GameCube. I'm pretty good on GameCube.
Doing
now.
good on GameCube, huh? That's nice.
Unless there's like something really ridiculous. There's a couple things. I don't have WarioWare Mega Games yet. So if I saw that, good price, would probably. But it's got to be nice to
because that GameCube still is maybe the most painful one to collect just based on price in a lot of ways. I mean, there's some, so it's good obviously that each thing has its own idiosyncrasies, but yeah, GameCube's been tough for a while.
Yeah, I have a lot of the heavy hitters there. I've got, the two Pokemon Colosseums. I have the Fire Emblem and Cube of War, and there's other things like that Metroid Prime Wind Waker combo pack, right? It's like, well, that'd be neat, but it's not $750 neat,
Not that I'm thinking about it, but
Channel or Pokemon Box. What?
Not that I'm thinking about it, but let's just say all of the Minotti brothers died in a car crash. Could I get your collection if that happened?
Okay.
All right, cool. Yeah!
All right, sounds like a plan.
Dibs on the Pokemon, dude. I need that shit.
All right,
don't kill me though, or my brothers.
No. Well, if I'm found guilty, of course I wouldn't be allowed to inherit it. We all learned that in a movie at one point.
Columbo will be on the case.
Columbo will come for my ass. I'm looking forward to it as well. I think I probably will pick up a couple things. I will be looking for complete in box N64 games to go with my wave race, I think. Not looking forward to that because I don't want to spend a ton of money, but that's just going to be the way it is. Let's get into it. Thanks for joining us, everybody. Give us a good rating wherever you are listening and hit that like button on YouTube, please. It helps people find the show. If you want to ask a question, you can drop a super chat during the program. Here on YouTube, we'll get to all of those before the end. Thanks to 1UP versus CPU for our artwork. You can find more at oneupversuscpu.com. We are on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and wherever pods are caught. Thank you to the mods. Thank you to Christian for producing. And you can get more from Mike and me and support us by going to patreon.com/GameMess. That gets you access to our Discord server, participation in Q&A sessions and our Game Club discussions, early access to new episodes of Game Mess Jeopardy and Columbros, and of course, all of our shows ad-free. Friendly reminder, you can also become a supporter by becoming a YouTube member or a Twitch subscriber. All right, Mike, big topics. Let's get into it. Nintendo and the Pokemon Company are suing the Palworld developer Pocket Pair. For patent infringement is what Nintendo and the Pokemon company are saying. So far, Palworld developer Pocket Pair said, hey, we don't know what patent they're talking about, but we're going to fight against this. This is, to me, this is a bummer because specifically the patent side of things. Patents in video games are weird, and it feels like bullying because people have been using other people's game mechanics from the very beginning. Nintendo has certainly used other people's game mechanics, whether patented or not. It is part of how games get made. So the idea that now Nintendo is weaponizing this to go after a game that they clearly dislike because it's very close to copyright infringement, but maybe not over the line in their opinion. So they're punishing them with one thing by using another thing. I very much dislike this, but how are you feeling about it all?
Yeah, I mean, there's a part of me, it's like, Palworld is pretty brazen with some of their creature designs and just how similar
they could have avoided this
Pokemon.
if they just didn't make it look like Pokemon. Like, they could have made
even
it
like quite as much like Pokemon.
Right. They make it look just somewhere between Pokemon and Digimon, and you're fine. Like, there's so many things that are close to Pokemon. These are just Pokemon.
Right. So that's like part of me's like, oh, well, what did they expect? But it's also like, well, come on, Pokemon. How is this actually hurting you, really? What's the point here? Again, it's like, because it is a design thing, but they're trying to argue mechanics or what have you. And it's like, well, Shin Megami Tensei predate you. Like Dragon Quest V with its monster capturing mechanics definitely predates Pokemon, and I think was explicitly stated as an inspiration for it.
And so much of Pokemon has been around for more than 20 years, which is how long a patent lasts. So what are they talking about here? Again, we don't know exactly. People are speculating that it is, to put it in simple terms, the way the patent does, at least one of the patents that people have found, using a sphere that you throw to catch something, to catch a monster or a creature of some sort, or basically to catch anything. You've done that since the beginning in Pokemon, but maybe they're like, well, no, the ball is now traveling through 3D space in a video game, and that's different than how it used to work, and we're patenting that specific idea, something that is in, like, both Pokemon Go, a lot of other recent Pokemon games, and now Palworld. Still, though, boy, that feels so thin and so close to, like, what is really the difference between that and how it worked before in Pokemon Red and Blue? And the reality is, it's not much of a difference. It's very much just a technical, legal difference, once again, that they can weaponize against Pocket Pair. So the real reason I dislike this is, patent trolls are a bad thing in every industry that they pop up in. And while Nintendo might not turn into necessarily a patent troll, they are certainly going to be able to create a pathway for patent trolls to follow in if they sort of blaze this trail. And other companies look around and be like, okay, well, maybe we should start patenting everything so that, for one, we can protect ourselves against a Nintendo in the future when they come after us. And so now we'll have our own library of patents that we can use to then countersue them in the future. And then maybe we hire some lawyers to begin seeing, hey, who can we sue to make some money? And that can really stifle an industry. It has stifled many industries so far. That would not be good for games.
No, man, that's absolutely right.
This probably doesn't go to court, though, right? This probably.
You think this gets settled?
I think. Honestly, this them coming out and saying, like, making such a strong statement, for one, feels like an announcement to investors, but like, we take this stuff seriously, and to an announcement to Pocket Pair to be like, yep, talk to your lawyers and get ready to come at us with a deal. Because we just want to scare you. We want to scare anyone that might try to do what you did. And Nintendo will be happy to take a settlement in that case. But yeah, I don't think Nintendo really wants to see this go to court and have to put anything as a precedent. But I don't know. These days, these companies seem more willing to go to court than they have been in the past. But I just don't know if Nintendo would actually do that. So
shouldn't their lawyers be more concerned about all these Switch 2 leaks?
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely people who are like, yeah, they're doing this because the Switch 2 leaked and this is a distraction. I'm like, I don't know, that seems like companies are just like,
they were looking into this.
Yeah,
right?
They said they were looking into this in January. Companies don't just sue other, responsible companies like Nintendo, a very conservative company, is not going to just sue another company because they leaked something accidentally. That's just not how it works. But whatever. Yeah, I mean, the Switch 2 leaks, they probably should be a little bit more worried about that, although that is something that just happens every time and feels inevitable at this point. Any other updated thoughts on the Switch 2 leaks? And I know we talked about it on Tuesday.
No. Well, on Tuesday, what we talked about was that it had gone to production. The stuff with the actual pictures, that was after. Yeah, they did a lot of fun Nintendo stuff happened after Nintendo. So
yeah, that's right.
I don't know if I actually really talked to you too much about the specifics of that leak. It looks. I'm not I don't feel like quite as disappointed looking at it. It is what I expected. I wanted it to basically just be a Switch again. Maybe there could have been a single bell or a single whistle somewhere aside from whatever that weird thing going on with the shoulder button, or at least the colors, right? Like the white and black thing. And I'm not sure if that's what we're seeing there is really representative of the colors, or if it's super early production. I don't know. I'm going to assume that's what it looks like, but whatever. It's fine. I can't really parse the technical stuff that leaked. I don't know how you feel about that.
Who knows? The way I feel about it is, a lot of that stuff sounds like what we've been hearing for a while, so it's easy to believe. But also, that makes it easy to sort of just write all that stuff down and say, yeah, of course it has 12 gigabytes of RAM and DLSS and backwards compatibility and all that stuff. It's very easy to fake that at the same time. I think the point is, though, really, that is basically what I'm expecting, a lot of those technical specs. And really, I think we're not going to know what to make of that until we see whatever form of DLSS is running on a Switch, both in docked mode and handheld mode. And it'll I mean, for as much as we know DLSS and what it's capable of, we need to kind of see it running in the Nintendo environment to really figure out how that's going to work.
I do think it's some people, there's that kind of reaction to just seeing it and being like it's a Switch. I think that's why when they do the reveal, it's going to be so important to show the new Mario and things like that, because that is, that'll be something to very easily get excited about.
I did get cured of my insanity of being disappointed about that, because I saw several people on Twitter freaking out that it's not some huge revolution.
Really mad.
Yes, and I was like, well,
this isn't the Nintendo. I know. As somebody who's been hearing that about Disney stuff forever, I'm like, let's fucking go. We're here now, Nintendo. Hell yeah.
When I saw, I'm like, well, if this is what I sounded like, well, now I'm just embarrassed. So never mind. This is great. I am very happy with the Switch 2. Yeah, I mean,
you're pretty convinced that's a real leak, though, by the way, right?
I mean, I think at least the physical stuff seems likely real. And then I think the renders, I don't think those are from Nintendo, but I think they might be based on specs from Nintendo. That's all just speculation, though. Either way, I mean, yeah, I think that's probably what the thing's going to look like. So for whether or not it's 100% accurate, I think for all intents and purposes, when we get the final Switch 2, we're like, oh yeah, that looks a lot like the renders we saw a few weeks ago. Clearly, though, it seems like this thing not going to be announced this week, which was maybe one of the people thought, hey, it could happen this week. And now it's probably almost Saturday in Japan, right? Because they're at the end of the day Friday. I mean, I'm just doing quick math in my head, but that sounds right. So not announced this week. They still could announce it next week. That is still before Tokyo Game Show for the most part. But I don't know. It is coming down to the wire. Do you think we get it next week, or get some little just video tidbit?
I mean, gosh, if it's things like being made and we're getting leaks off the production line, it's wild to me that you wouldn't have an announcement planned to happen pretty soon. Honestly, you'd think before, or at least right around when you're actually making the thing. At a certain point, I don't know what we're waiting for here, but still, it's Nintendo. Nothing's a sure thing. I wouldn't be surprised if it somehow doesn't happen during next week, but it certainly seems like a very distinct possibility.
Yeah, I'm like, man, Mario and Luigi Brothership is such a big game in my mind for them. I guess it's, a handful of millions of copies, and it probably sells no matter what, but it's I don't know, maybe they do want to just get those out of the way before they announce something. But
when Zelda come out, because maybe because it is coming out.
Zelda comes out next week, right? Next week.
Maybe that's a little awkward with the timing. I don't know.
That does feel a little awkward, yeah. So, but I mean, who knows what kind of reveal it is? If it's just a teaser trailer that shows the system, some people using it at a party, 5 seconds of Mario, 5 seconds of something else, and a lot of different scenarios than of people using it. Yeah, they just kind of then they like come back next year when we're going to talk about it for real. Maybe that doesn't get too much in the way of Zelda. It's just it's so impossible to guess what Nintendo's going to do. There's not a lot of reason actually to spend much time trying to figure it out. We'll just see what happens. All right. PlayStation did announce its 30th anniversary collection, including a gray PS5 and PS5 Pro, and gray as in the PS1 style gray with the PlayStation 1 logo. Mike, I actually don't know if I know how you feel about this. I would say I would guess that you are as enchanted by it as I am. Mike, I think this stuff looks incredible, and I am literally thinking, like, what am I going to have to do to get that PS5 Pro that comes with the Edge controller? So the whole thing might be easily $1,000, if not more. I am just broken in my brain.
Yeah, it looks really nice. I
so
love
good.
the way it looks. I love the way it looks. I think you mentioned this. Why doesn't the PlayStation 5 Pro just look like this?
Yeah,
This should just
make
be
it
the
this.
PlayStation 5 Pro.
Why not? I don't.
love
I mean, okay. To be clear, so that's one of the. Okay, so there's a PlayStation 5, the slim model or whatever, the slimmed down model, and a PlayStation 5 Pro that both have this style, which is the gray covers. The PlayStation gray covers, the PlayStation logo with the colors.
Logo on
yes,
it.
And then there's a bunch of other like little tidbits of like the square, the circle, the triangle, and the cross with a 30 on it, and that's etched on the side. It looks fantastic, but it is the limited edition, and I think they said there's gonna be like 12,500 of them total worldwide, 12,300, excuse me, of the PS5 Pro variants. Yeah,
That's not very. That's so
not a
few,
lot
and it's like
at all.
I
Yeah.
really want. Like I want one, but like the problem is, it's like I don't even know if I really want a Pro that much unless they offer me one, and then if they do that, they're not going to offer us one of these. They're going to offer us a normal
ask,
one.
but I'm like, I know you're not going to give me one, but I just got to ask.
Nah.
I got to live like Dan Reichert a little bit here and just see if I can make it happen.
It's so because even like God, even those like weird like lines look better in this style with the gray for some reason. Everything just possible. The edge controllers look good. I do wish it wasn't the edge controller because
I know,
again,
then
it
it'd
feels
be
like
more
that's just
reasonable
gonna.
price. Yeah,
I already have an edge. I don't need another one just to hike up the price of this thing. Oh God, it really does look pretty.
Even the PlayStation Portal, which is getting one of these 30th anniversary limited editions, looks incredible.
It looks much better like this.
With this styling. There is a I don't know if does this come with the systems or are they selling it separately? There's a little clamp that you could put on the USB cable now that makes the cable look like a PlayStation 1 controller cable with the sort of little gray bit of plastic that you plug into the front of the PlayStation. Incredible stuff. Again, this is aimed at my nostalgic brain, but it's working. And a big reason of that is this is some really good consumer electronics design. It just is, and I think it's timeless in a lot of ways. I think it looks fantastic. But yeah, I don't know. This is their 30th anniversary stuff. How you feeling about it all?
Again, I hate how much I like it because I already didn't know if I could get a Pro, let alone a more expensive, harder to get Pro. It's a difficult proposition, especially because I do want to do things soon, like upgrade my computer and whatnot, and spending $800 on whatever on this, oh boy! And the fact that they didn't say the price is kind of scary. So I don't know. I almost hope it's so hard to get. I'm not even gonna have the possibility of grabbing one. So whatever. But it does look nice.
It looks really nice. It is also a lot of people feeling very positive about this. It is part of the recent up and down trend of PlayStation where it's like Concord, oh no. It's like Astrobot, oh yes. And then something else happens, oh no. Or it was like the PS5 Pro announced. It's like that price, oh no. And then this happens, oh yes.
Days Gone remastered, oh no.
Right, yes, exactly. Right. So it's just up and down for them. But I think all this stuff is going to do very well. They did, then people are like, if this sounds familiar, they did this for the 20th anniversary with PS4. That thing also looked incredible, I thought. I never got my hands on one of those. I don't know. If I get one of these, especially if I get the PS5 Pro one, I don't know, even open it? Because that thing's going to be worth so much money in the future.
Well, I wouldn't. I would open it and enjoy it because again, it just looks too good.
I think I would too.
You're right though. Like, yeah, these are things that.
That's the one I would.
Going...
I would keep the box of that one, Sean, for sure.
Yeah, that's a box I'd keep. Actually.
Yeah, I would take good care of that one. And the
That's
box
why
is
you
also
tried to
great.
get 2.
Yeah, I'll get 2. That, of course. Why get 1 when you get 2 for twice the price? It's just math. All right.
I know I said I was going to throw out that Astrobot controller box, and I still haven't done it. I'm so sick.
Yep.
So disgusting. It's a big problem.
All right. Those are the big topics I wanted to talk about. Is there anything else that happened this week you want to talk about, or should we jump into some super chats?
Wanted to maybe talk about the Square Enix thing with them being disappointed about Final Fantasy 16.
Yeah,
and
okay,
Rebirth
yeah. I guess I should ask you about that. So the story there was they talked to investors. They told investors point blank that those games did not perform to expectations, something that we kind of vaguely knew, but now like 100%, they're just flat out saying it. We also are aware of what they're, sort of chalking this up to, which is mostly the PlayStation exclusivity, also coming on PlayStation 5 relative to like the last games and some of these, like the PlayStation 4 was very mature when both 15 and a Final Fantasy 7 remake came out. So both those games found quite a huge audience. Their successors, 16 and 7 Rebirth, not so much. I've definitely pointed out caveats when I talked about this before, like, hey, the second game in a trilogy often doesn't do as well as or maybe the second entry in a trilogy. I'm thinking of movies maybe, but I think it's also true for games. It doesn't maybe do as well because people begin to wait for the final one so they can just play it all at once. How are you feeling about how Square Enix is talking about Final Fantasy these days?
Yeah, and I know like some people are like, oh, Square Enix is never happy with sales of their games. And I do think it's a boy who cried wolf thing where, I think there's every reason to believe they have a good reason to feel that way this time.
They spent a lot of money on both of these games. And so they did that with the belief that these games would perform. And I don't think these games performed commensurate with the amount of money they spent on them. That's what they're saying.
Yeah, and with Rebirth, it is almost kind of like, man, why didn't that sell more? Because it is, it reviewed really well, right? It's Final Fantasy beloved thing, and it is like, okay, I guess it's just, how many people actually beat the first one and then are ready to go to this one? But then, like God of War 2018, that sold like 23 million units, and then Ragnarok, okay, it didn't sell as much, but it sold 50 million. It's not like there was a big drop off. And granted, we're starting smaller with Final Fantasy 7 Remake. So yeah, it's just like that is just part of the problem where inherently there's a lot of people who are like, well, there's no reason to play this game unless I beat the first one. And maybe, not everybody beats games. So that's difficult. So I don't know. The Rebirth one bums me out. And then the 16 thing frustrates me just because so much of that game and the changes that they made and the caveats they were doing, things like kind of having, getting rid of turn-based battles or even like more tactical battles like Remake has, right? That's not really turn-based, but still feels kind of tactical. Instead, doing this fast-paced action thing where we're told, well, that's going to attract new players. So, I know it's not exactly what the big hardcore Final Fantasy fans want, but it's going to be good for the series. And same thing with, this kind of Game of Thrones-esque tone thing we're doing and this kind of focus on spectacle. And then it doesn't do that, right? And it doesn't attract a significant amount of new fans. And it does just kind of leave me frustrated. It's like, man, maybe you should just make the best Final Fantasy game they can. I don't think 16 is a bad game. I don't. Clearly, I'm disappointed with it in ways. But it's not a bad game. But I am frustrated.
I think, I can't remember who I was talking to. It might have been Emma. Could have been Lucy. It was Lucy, I think. She mentioned they should drop the numbers. Now, I'll save. Let me save you a little bit here. Man, you look at Persona. No one feels the need to play Persona 1 or 2, and then maybe a lot of them start with 3, but each successive one does better than the last one. So it's not a problem there. Now, I get 5 is different than 16. Yeah. But how much different is it really at a certain point? I don't know if it's that much different.
It's hard to say because there's not very many other things that are like what can we even... There's very little data on how people feel about approaching the 16th entry in a franchise, even if it's not, tied to the other games in any narrative way. Mm-hmm. So, it's one of these things where maybe that's an easy thing to look at and say, this is the problem. But in that part of me, it's like, well, if the game is so good, people feel like they can't miss it. again, Rebirth got like a 92 Metacritic. Is that not that? Even though the conversation didn't necessarily feel like it was a 92 Metacritic in some ways, right? There's a lot of people who do have issues with the game, maybe don't feel as strongly as I do.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
It's a higher tier than the Starfield conversation, where Starfield didn't feel like an 88, but it was lower than that. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth didn't feel like a 92 necessarily, but it wasn't like as low as an 88. It was like, maybe it's an 89 actually, but who knows? Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard for me to say. I'm so attached to the franchise that it is like repulsive to me, right? In a way that it shouldn't be. It is like a stupid, like I'm too close to it. I like the series too much. The idea that we just abandon the numbers and have something called the Final Fantasy, or just Final Fantasy in parentheses 2027. I hate that as a fan of the series. Is it the right decision? I don't know. Maybe. I don't think, if I was in charge and like you had to tell me what do I think like the main problems are with why Final Fantasy isn't selling as well as it should be, I definitely think things like not being on all the platforms, not being on at least PC day and date as these other things, and maybe some of the kind of misguided direction in terms of combat and other things like that. I would be more concerned with that stuff than the number.
Yeah, I think if I were them, I would also be tackling sort of, we got afraid of being what Final Fantasy is a little bit. I don't think they like completely turned away from it, even though it kind of feels that way to a lot of people. But it's like, no, they should. I think it's time for a Final Fantasy 9. Like that one. Like, hey, let's be fantasy again.
Real back to basics.
Back to basics. Yeah.
Let's have an overworld. Let's have turn-based. Like,
yeah.
Let's at least try.
Yeah, let's take all the money we took to sort of make this game be appealing to a mass audience. Let's take that money and put it towards, and maybe it doesn't have to be as much money, but let's take most of that money and put it towards being the most Final Fantasy game. What if it was the most Final Fantasy game? And you just said, no, that's what we want to be because we think that's awesome and important. I think people like see that and like, oh, I want to be part of that party. That looks like a good time. And they convince themselves that I can only get that from Final Fantasy because they're the only ones that are Final Fantasy as Final Fantasy. So I really think that's what's worked for so many other games in various genres, but especially in JRPGs. So,
do you think because 16 is coming out to PC now? Do you think that's going to be much of a boost? You think it's almost? No. You think it's kind of late?
It's kind of late. Isn't it out like right now? No one's talking about it. I mean, is it
out now? Is it out soon?
Yeah, it came out earlier this week, didn't it?
I think it did.
It?
Yeah.
You're kind of right. No one's really talking about that, huh?
Yeah, I was like just gonna see if like
what's the Steam database numbers?
The top seller list on it is on Steam. So God of War Ragnarok #1, Final Fantasy 16 #3 after the Steam Deck. So #2. Really.
Okay.
But maybe listen, it's ahead of Dragon Ball Sparking Zero, which is brand new.
Yeah, maybe
ahead of Frostpunk 2, which is only $45. I guess this is ranked by dollar sales. But hey, it's ranked by dollar sales, and it's $50. And Ragnarok is $60, and Sparking Zero is $70. So,
yeah,
hey, maybe it's doing all right.
Final Fantasy 17 has to come out on PC on day one.
Yeah, and
I think that is definitely the main culprit here.
They've basically been like, that's happening.
They've been it as much.
Yes, 100%. I'm kind of curious to see how many concurrent players Final Fantasy 16 has. Not that I think that is a great metric for a game like this, but just kind of curious. Okay, let's see here. Let's take a quick break. We'll come back. Yeah. We'll do some super chats. We'll get into some other stuff right after this.
I know it doesn't have more than, I don't know, Baldur's Gate 3 because that game has like 1,000 players every time I check. It's crazy.
Yeah, Black Myth Wukong still has 440,000. Okay.
15,800 playing 38 minutes ago. That's 24-hour peak was 21.6 thousand.
That's not bad.
That's pretty good, actually.
Yeah,
not bad.
That's not bad.
Maybe
it's
not
not
bad.
terrible for mainline
good,
Final Fantasy.
Yeah.
I wonder how it's running on there. I guess it depends on computers.
I played the demo, and I don't have like a medium PC, and it runs pretty well.
I was given a code. Part of me is like, maybe I should start it over on PC, but I don't know if I really want to start it over.
If you love that, you'll love that game. You say it's good. Play it again from the beginning.
I think this is like
it.
This is like kind of like maybe illustrates it though. It's like it's still behind Red Dead Redemption 2 and Cyberpunk 2077 in terms of concurrent players. And it's like, okay, is it going to be able to ever like break through to that tier where it's just like one of those games that people are always playing? Certainly not. But maybe Final Fantasy 17 could, if it just reestablished a few things. Yeah.
I wonder how 14. I wonder if because Dawn Troll not as well received as past expansions. I wonder if there's actually been a hit to players or not in 14. I don't know.
No idea.
14, it has. It had the most players ever.
Yeah, good.
Okay. Sorry, just wanted to get Frostpunk 2 real quick. Okay. We got the super chats ready to go, Mike.
Sure.
Okay.
Sure do, buddy.
Cool. Bring it back then.
All right, let's do it. And we're back. What we're going to do now, Mike, I believe we have a handful of super chats. Let's get into those.
Maybe more than a handful. Simon from Saskatchewan says, is the game Amy for Xbox 360 on your Blight Club list? It's short but pure garbage. Since Mike hasn't played a game with an escort mission, it'd be good for him. He will rage so fast. Thanks for the content. Not super familiar with Amy for the Xbox 360.
That has definitely come up before, and I remember like looking up and being like, yeah, maybe we could do that. And then I think we were like, it's not long enough. But now, when we have Lightning Clubs coming up, yeah, maybe it would go. I just searched
a survival
Amy
horror
Club.
stealth game. I mean, no, I'd like that too much. You know how much I'm into horror now.
Oh, right.
Jeff?
Okay. You're right. Yeah, I guess we can give it to you.
25 Metacritic.
Look at this thing. Okay, yeah, it's definitely been something we've thought about. Maybe Lightning Round. Maybe we'll give it to someone for Lightning Round. We'll see.
That's disgusting. L. Grug says, Jeff flew a plane on what day?
And tomorrow I'm doing 9/11.
Look, I actually flew it on 9/10. All right, so it's gonna be the prequel. Okay, chill out, everybody. No, I flew home on 9/11 though. So
great. Never mind. That boy Jerry says, you know, I hope you all appreciate how much I've been holding back lately. Not a voicemail dump truck today,
no, clearly
but other
not.
things.
Yeah.
Hello, Captain Jeff, says that boy Jerry, and Major Mitch. Which will be more valuable to collectors in 3 to 5 years, the Zelda Switch Lite or the 30th anniversary DualSense? I mean, it sounds like there's going to be way fewer of the 30th anniversary DualSense, right?
Yeah, I mean,
It's a controller.
They said it's 12,300 of the Pro model. Are these other things limited? I don't know if they said.
Can you get the controller like by itself?
I think you
like,
can get the controller separate. Like there are like standalone versions of a lot of these things.
You
so.
can.
It sucks, it's like
everything else is going to be at retailers just for a limited time.
Okay.
One thing I definitely have enough of, especially after getting this Astrobot one, is PlayStation 5 controllers. I'm very set on that.
I think they'll probably go up a similar amount of a similar percentage, not too much, because they'll both be pretty plentiful. I bet.
I'm a PC player, but I kind of want a DualSense because now all the PlayStation games like have support for that on PC.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I know, looks cool.
Screaming Man, it says, awesome piloting skills over the Grand Canyon, Grubb.
Thank
also
you.
sounds like Flight Sim 2024 is going to be a sick simulation, huh?
I really think so. Yeah, I think it's going to be the one that most people will be able to find something to enjoy about it. They just really nailed giving people something to do, and I think that the near ground improvements to rendering that makes the world look so much better is what a lot of people who are like casuals coming in really want, because they want to fly over something they recognize, and now it looks almost lifelike. It's really impressive stuff.
Zubmer says, Nintendo when tracing art is legal. And then Zuber says, don't Japanese publishers normally patent stuff with no intention to enforce so no one else will patent it? I heard that on YouTube.
I mean, that's a lot of companies behave that way. Yeah. But I don't know. I mean, they clearly have it in their back pocket to go after companies at some point, just in case. And like I said, a lot of people patent stuff to protect themselves as sort of a mutually assured destruction sort of thing, where it's like, you sue us for patent infringement, we'll sue you for patent infringement. And that's been a huge problem in the tech space. It's been really annoying.
That boy Jerry says, did the plane cockpit have good Wi-Fi, or did Marvel Snap add an offline mode we don't know about?
It actually did have good Wi-Fi.
Oh, okay, so you were fine.
I was fine. Yeah, I got a couple matches in. I won.
Al Grug says, Final Fantasy sales strategy, drop the numbers, put the word tactics where the numbers were, put it everywhere, profit.
Oh, that's not a bad idea. What the fuck ever happened to that thing, huh? Why? Just release that. I guess I always there's always a state of play. I'm like, maybe it could happen there. It'd be nice to see that if they just like shadow drop Final Fantasy Tactics. That'd be cool.
Next one is from one second. Zoomer again says only Team Asano exceeds Square Enix's expectations. Oh, and you know what? I bet their games aren't the most expensive things in the world.
Yeah, probably not.
You know what? And I think that Dragon Quest 3 HD 2D remake. I mean, that thing is hot. I forget if I've even talked about because the embargo's up for it, but I did play it at Gamescom.
Right, you did
that
play
now.
it.
Yeah, and I got to talk to Hori-san even, and that shit is so hot.
Oh,
I am so excited
that's exciting.
for it. It looks so good. There's some nice quality of life stuff. I cannot freaking wait for Dragon Quest 3 HD 2D remake.
Nomura said he's going to retire after Kingdom Hearts 4, or maybe said he wants to get Kingdom Hearts 4 done, then he'll think about retiring or something like that.
Sure. I'm really confused. He's like, this is like a big reset for the story, and everything we've seen so far from it is tied incredibly heavily to the events of Kingdom Hearts 3 and its DLC.
He said the reset, the one I read today when I was doing the story was, this is the thing that's going to conclude the story.
He said something about, I don't know. I forget exactly.
You would know
the
better
word.
than I do. I don't know.
Yeah. So, because I think he threw out the thing, we're going to attract new fans because, like, yeah, it's going to be a great entry point because it won't be as confusing. And I'm like, what? So, Sora shows up in the real world because he got Yusakai at the end of Kingdom Hearts 3. They're going to be very confused. Whatever. I like Kingdom Hearts. Next up is from Adam GC, who says, Final Fantasy VII Remake team and Final Fantasy 16 team should alternate making numbered entries in their respective styles once the trilogy wraps. Probably. I mean, I think that 7 Remake team, there's no reason why they shouldn't just make a Final Fantasy 17 or 18, whose ever turn it might be. There's a part of me, and I don't think this is really true, but look, disappointed in Final Fantasy 16 a bit, kind of disappointed in Final Fantasy 14 Dawn Trail. There's a part of me that's like, oh man, that's a lot. This is a lot for this one team. Is now, sometimes things just don't hit for whatever reason.
Sure.
And it's not necessarily because they have to sort of spread focus across 2 projects. And I don't know how that team is structured. I don't really know if it's an issue. Maybe it's completely fine for the 16 team / that 14 team to go again at it. I mean, again, I don't know who else would do it if not these 2 teams right now.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're right, though. It'd be nice if they could focus a little bit.
Next up is from Stinky. He says, this is a good community. Keep stinking, friends. Thank you, Stinky.
Thank you,
Appreciate
Stinky.
it. Edgar Marino says, Sparking Zero isn't out until the 11th.
Yeah,
so those
I mean,
are pre-order
right.
sales.
Those pre-order sales. I mean, it's still ahead of everything else, but and then maybe that's a good sign for Sparking Zero. Then the fact that it's already number 3 before everything else is happening there. Cool.
This is the one they're gonna bring back to like the Budokai Tenkaichi style of a gameplay.
Right.
So
Yes. Yeah, that's why
very very excited
everyone's
about
Got
it.
like
about it,
150 characters or something crazy.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah, let's fucking go.
Mello with their first super chat, thank you so much, says, will Final Fantasy 7 Remake Part 3 still be PS5 only on release? It's like, man, you would think that they would be trying to get that one on Steam day and date this time around.
I bet that's on Xbox and day and date this time.
Do you think they try to get the first 2 on Xbox before that to get people cut up there? That'd be nice.
Yes, they do. I think so. But who knows? I mean, I guess it's definitely on PC. Maybe on Xbox. Maybe there's some first right of refusal that Sony has, which would I'd be surprising. Sounds like they were always working on these deals as these things were happening, and Sony just was always bringing the bag and enough of a bag to make it make sense at the time. But I think they'll just want to have it everywhere this time.
It is a little silly because, like, obviously there was a bag there. It seems like they don't factor that in at all with the kind of like the profits of Final Fantasy stuff,
right? I mean,
right?
Or if they do, it's like, then it wasn't enough. It just clearly wasn't enough.
Maybe it wasn't enough. I will say, as much as I liked that they did 3 parts for Final Fantasy VII Remake, and I think it's been a good thing for the game, and I really like them fleshing out certain aspects of it. I think clearly, maybe monetarily, wasn't a great decision.
I think if they could have done it in 2 parts, that makes more sense these days, similar to God of War and God of War Ragnarok, because it's just so long to do a trilogy.
It takes forever these days. It is just a decade-long proposal now.
Yeah,
Which it used to be you could make 5 Final Fantasy games in a decade, right?
Yep.
Like mainline ones. And it isn't like that no more. Ali Merkel says, gifting gamer bullshit on Twitter, Final Fantasy in the hole, Nintendo out with litigation guns. The 2010s are so back, baby.
Mm-hmm. It's happening. Real quick, the remaster stuff. We didn't talk about this in the news, but Horizon Zero Dawn leaked it by the ESRB. That is apparently going to be happening. And then I have heard that the one I mentioned earlier this week that was going to be the disappointing one, or the more disappointing one, was Days Gone, and it is Days Gone.
Depending on who you ask, Jeff, some people tell me very loudly and angrily that they like that game, actually.
I'm sure they do. And are you going to go back and play it again? I bet even those people aren't going to actually go back and play it again. I bet that thing already runs fine on a PS5, but whatever. Like, maybe they'll put a roguelite mode in it.
We sure are remastering a lot of PS4 games. It doesn't really feel like it needs it. And like the one that does, Bloodborne, that's just not happening.
They're not happening.
So it's frustrating.
It's just, it's so noticeably frustrating because of the lack of other things to like fill in these gaps between these things. So it just feels like remaster after remaster. And if it was the same rate of remasters, but there was an equal number of new things, people wouldn't care.
Right. No, that's exactly like, that's why I said before about Naughty Dog. It's like, we might not get an original Naughty Dog game this generation. We got some remasters of games that aren't very old. So that's something, I guess. But it's weird. Like, we're not even getting PS3 stuff. Like, what? You're not even remastering the.
How do we got Demon Souls remaster? How remake? How did that even happen? That's a miracle that happened.
Yeah. Bluepoint fully remade that.
What is Bluepoint doing?
Bluepoint's making a new game. Like a new IP.
Yeah.
And it's too soon to have Bluepoint go make a Bloodborne remake. So.
Yeah. Not remake. You don't. It doesn't need a remake.
No, clearly
it
doesn't need a remake. Yes. No, I know. That's why it doesn't make. Yes, it's not happening. Yeah.
I know. And again, it's like clearly like stuff that could benefit from remasters are things like Resistance and Killzone.
Right. Stuff from the PS3 that they're not gonna. That's too much work, so they're not gonna do that.
Right. And it's also like, and I get it. Like, as silly as it is, like that's just not a Resistance something's just not going to sell as much as a Horizon something right now.
Yeah. That's right.
Teriyaki Blue says Splinter Cell animated series just announced, which is awesome, but I gotta ask, have either of you heard anything lately about that remake?
Not lately, no. I gotta assume it's still coming, but it's Ubisoft, so who knows?
Mello says, what release year do you think for Final Fantasy VII Remake 3?
Mike?
Gosh, what was it between the other two? Let me ask you this while I think about that. Should people be worried of like the scale maybe being reduced a bit for part 3, or you think it's still kind of, that train's already rolling and they don't want to slow it down? At this point, you may as well finish strong.
Oh God, I think they probably do try to reduce it here or there, but it's probably a handful of nips and tucks, and overall it's still some big grand thing. It'll probably be one of the biggest game releases of the year still when it comes out.
I would imagine that part 3 is going to be able to take more from part 2 than part 2 even was from part 1, because it should still be like a lot of the same world and stuff.
Right. It definitely should have been a Back to the Future 2 and 3 situation where it's like, as you're building this stuff, build it with the idea of you're going to use some of it in 3 again. Yeah, that would be ideal.
That's it for the super chats for now. Thank you so much, everybody. If you have any more super chats you want to send in, we will read them before the end of the show. Thank you.
Awesome. All right.
Oh yeah, what year do I think? 27 or 28. I don't know.
Yeah, that sounds possible. The last year before the PS5 or PS6 comes out. Okay. Let's take another break. We'll get set up. We're gonna do the Fix It list or something. I don't know what I'm gonna call it. Something new. We got a new game. We're gonna do it right after this. Okay. Get this set up.
Fix a list.
Fix a list. Okay. Okay, let's see. There's that.
Oh, baby.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, sorry. I got the Simple and Clean on the
Are you
brain.
doing Gusty Garden there, Jeff?
I was doing a bunch of stuff that just medleys that were playing in my head.
I heard the beginning of Gusty Garden Galaxy.
Usually Gusty Garden is playing in my head, so that makes a lot of sense. This is a Jared Petty list. Very good. Okay.
No, thank you, Jan. That's I don't appreciate it though.
Okay. Let me bring it down here. All right. Let's yeah, okay.
All right.
I am ready, and I'm going to bring us back in. All right, we're back, and we have a new game. We stole it from Kind of Funny. They stole the draft, so we're stealing this. I think that's only fair. It's mostly their thing. I know
we don't have a patent yet.
They do a thing called
they
do a thing called the shit list, and I know they're turning like into a whole show, and I haven't seen that yet. So maybe if it's exactly like this, maybe we'll change it next time. But whatever. When I used to listen to it, what they would do is after an episode of like game Kind of Funny Games Daily, they'd be like, all right, we're gonna take a look at a list and kind of just trash talk it and say what's bad about it. And so me and Mike and Sean and Christian were talking like, well, we should do a top 10 list. I'm like, it just kind of feels time consuming. What if we took a list that exists and we fix it and we make it better? That is our spin on it. And again, if that's what they're doing, too bad. All right. So what we're going to do is the 10 best NES games of all time, as a list from IGN, Jared Petty, that he wrote in 2018. It looks like it posted in 2018, November 25th, 2018. And he picks the top 10 games. We'll go through the list, we'll comment on it, and then we will fix it and replace anything we need to replace, move things as needed.
Anything else that needs fixing.
Yeah, and we'll fix up Jared Petty as well. I love you, Jared.
For sure.
All right, so I think we should probably start by reading down the list. Have you looked at the list, Mike? Have you
I have, sir.
Okay. All right. Well, I haven't actually. So do you? I could try to like guess here and try to figure out like, should we kind of like maybe like see? Oh, where's that? Or should we just go?
Well,
from
here's one of the problems with the list that we have to fix, sir.
Yeah.
Is that Mr. Petty a bit of a coward?
Oh.
Not ranked, not numbered. It's just a list of 10 games.
It's just 10 games. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So we might have to fix that too.
Well, we can fix that for sure. All right. So then let's actually just read through them then. Super Mario Brothers is the first one that's listed here. Then Super Mario Brothers 3. Kind of so far, I'm like, I think once we kind of go through 10 games, both of those could easily make it onto the list. The Legend of Zelda.
Sure.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Tetris, the original Tetris. This one has grown on me in years, but I might, as we talk things out, I'm like, well, I just associate so much with the Game Boy.
We might have to talk about this one. Yeah, we might have to discuss the placement of Tetris on this list.
And we'll definitely have to talk about Mega Man 3, of course.
I'm sorry I called you a coward.
Mentioned before great. Mega Man 2. This is an interesting one. The Guardian Legend.
Guardian Legend is often brought up as the most underappreciated NES game. It's like part top-down Zelda game and part shmup.
Yes.
It's a late NES game, so it looks very good.
I played a lot of this game. I never really got far, but I played it many, many times trying to be like, I think this is cool because I'm shooting, I'm going through these stages. The music is awesome. It's like kind of cinematic, and then you're playing a top-down Zelda kind of game. It's really interesting. Mr. Gimmick.
Mr. Gimmick was another one that was a late game. It didn't even come out in the US. I think it was a PAL in Japan. And always brought up as a big underrated classic. It recently got remastered and is even getting a sequel if that hasn't come out yet. So like Gimmick's been getting a surprising amount of time to shine recently. I'm a little bit unsure about top 10 material for it, but we'll see.
Yes, I'm a little bit skeptical of that myself. We will assess here in a second. Let's see here. Let me just go back there. Okay, Final Fantasy 1.
I do like Final Fantasy 1 a lot. There's a part of me that's like, oh, the NES version, going back to that one.
It's Final Fantasy 1, 2, and 3 on the NES?
1, 2, and 3, but also Dragon Quest 1 through 4 on the NES. And maybe the actual best 8-bit JRPG is from that series instead. We'll have to talk.
We'll see if that ranks on here. Pirates, with an exclamation point for the NES. The NES port of the Sid Meier game. I love the later Sid Meier's Pirates, the one that is called Sid Meier's Pirates. I never played the original Pirates.
I didn't even know. Well, there's a Genesis port called Sid Meier's Pirates Gold.
This one's developed by Rare.
Oh, that's funny. That's wild.
And published by Ultra, which is Konami, of course, yes.
Yeah, like, again, when I think of this version of the game, aside from PC, I thought of Genesis. I don't think I know too much about the NES port of this one. So
I'm interested to play this now. I'm gonna actually seek that out because boy, Pirates is a lot of fun. The later one, Bionic Commando.
good game. I like Bionic Commando. It had that I kind of associate with the Summer of Arcade on Xbox. There's that fun remake of it, and even a sequel with Rearmed. There's but when we kind of think about games missing from the list, maybe Bionic Commando has a harder time sticking around.
Yeah, definitely, especially if we don't get. If that's all, that's 10, huh? Okay, what the hell? Yeah, some notable absences, I would say.
yeah, exactly. So I don't think none of these are bad games.
No,
for sure. But I think there are some that I would swap out.
Okay, so help me build the list real quick over here on the sheet. Let's do this. Move this over.
So,
actually, that's not great.
Want me to name the games for you again so you can fill them out?
I'm just going to do a new sheet. Let me a second while I fix that.
Yeah, let me know when you're ready for me to read names. I'm going to enjoy a delicious sip of my Oreo Coca-Cola Zero Sugar in the meantime. By the way, I love when people tag me when they get it for the first time. I just had a friend text me.
You are an influencer. Absolutely.
I am the Oreo Coca-Cola Zero Sugar influencer for sure. I agree with that.
All right, let me do this. Move that.
You haven't tried one yet. I'm so excited for
it.
Yes,
I'm going to make it happen this weekend. Maybe I could drink it like in person when you're around on Sunday.
That'd be fun.
Yeah, that'd be fun. Okay, let's see here.
Yeah, but there's some people like, oh, I don't get it, but I think most people are like, oh yeah, this is very good. All right, this is the good stuff.
I am ready.
Super Mario Brothers.
All right.
Super Mario Brothers 3. The Legend of Zelda. Tetris. Mega Man 3. The Guardian Legend. Mr. Gimmick. Final Fantasy. Pirates! Exclamation mark. Bionic Commando. Oh, yeah, that's it. I don't know. It's like every time I even get to it, I'm like, that's not 10. And then I count. I'm like, oh, it's 10. Every 10. Time I do that, it's like, that's not nearly enough.
Okay. How should we approach this? Should we begin listing other games that we think are notable absences, or should we start ranking this list first?
Let's figure out. Let me ask you this. What do you think is the most notable absence?
Tyson's Punch-Out. Are you kidding me?
And what do you think is the weakest entry on his list?
Well, I haven't played Mr. Gimmick or Pirates, but I would probably still get rid of Mr. Gimmick first.
I played Mr. Gimmick, and it's good, but I think it was good. I think it had a lot of it wasn't released here mystique going on for a while there. It's still a good game.
Okay.
I think getting rid of Mr. Gimmick for Mike Tyson's Punch-Out is a smart move.
All right. Already just an easy move right there. Mike Tyson's Punch-Out. Okay. Well, I mean, we got... let me move this up. There we go. All right. I think there's probably some other absences, though. I don't know. Do you want to talk them out? We got...
Castlevania!
Yeah. Castlevania. You want the original, right? I
want the original. It would be original or 3. And I know 3 has the branching paths and the different characters. It's also noticeably harder in a way that I almost find a little off-putting with 3. So and I think 1's kind of perfect in a lot of ways.
Right.
Super classic. So I think just Castlevania should be on this list.
Okay. Well, let's. I got it right here. Do we want to immediately remove something, replace it? I'm okay with that.
I think this one is. I don't know. Yeah, I think it should be on the list. And I just look. I don't disbelieve him about Pirates. I've never heard that much about this version of Pirates before, and I bet it's good.
I bet it's. Listen,
I bet it's great. Maybe even.
I bet it's like.
We're talking.
You know what it makes me think of? SimCity on Super Nintendo, which is fantastic. And if I were to do my top 10 Super Nintendo games, that might make it in there, maybe. But without playing it, it's just too easy for us. I think we should remove it, Mike. Let's just get
it. Yeah. I'm sorry. Yeah. Okay, let's get Castlevania on there.
All right. Yeah. There we go. Okay, so. Right now, the list is Super Mario Brothers, Super Mario Brothers 3, Zelda, Tetris, Mega Man 3, Guardian Legend, Mike Tyson's Punch-Out, Final Fantasy, Castlevania, and Bionic Commando. I think the next couple that come to mind, I'll just do one for now. Contra, which I think is very good.
Yeah, Contra is great. There is something timeless about it. It's so quintessential.
Yes.
NES.
Maybe is there a cooperative game on the NES? I don't know.
Well, I like Chip and Dale, but I don't mean even still probably not. You're right. Yeah, Contra is a super quintessential 2-player experience.
And we can build a list of alternatives here. We don't have to immediately make a decision on whether this is going to replace something up there. Because honestly,
we can do that now that we each did one.
Okay, all right, sounds good.
Although there's a part of me that's very specifically looks at Bionic Commando and is like, there's a better Capcom game that isn't Mega Man that we should put on there, and it's DuckTales.
Yeah, DuckTales for sure.
DuckTales is so good. DuckTales 2 is good too, but DuckTales 1 is just a bit more classic to me. Super fun mechanics with the bouncing, the pogo stick. One of the best NES soundtracks ever. The Moon theme is great. It does the fun kind of, get to pick the level and just kind of pass you open up. Just one of the all-time great licensed games. Yeah, so I think I like this immediately just replace Bionic Commando with DuckTales. That fixes it.
Yeah, I did that. You're right. Let's just do that. Okay, I think the ones that are on the most on the bubble that are still up on the list is probably Tetris and Guardian Legend, and then of course we could talk about anything else. But yeah. So right now we have Contra as an alternative. I had something in Ninja Gaiden, which I really, really love.
I like Ninja Gaiden. That's one though. Like, I don't know if I certainly like it more than the NES Tetris, right? So maybe more than some other things here.
I think it's in the conversation.
I always want to let Jared have Guardian Legend. I'm like, that's a neat pick.
I really like Guardian Legend. I agree it's a neat pick. I just said it's on the bubble. That's all. I don't think
I think you're right.
There's no guarantee that even Tetris comes off the list. Yeah.
Yeah. How do you feel about Mario 1 and 3 being on there? Because to me, my list could almost just be Mega Man games, but I wouldn't do that because I'm not selfish.
My list would probably have Super Mario Brothers 1, 2, and 3, but I would then begin okay, that's a bit absurd, and I guess I would leave 2 out just because Super Mario Brothers 1 is so important, and I love 2 so much.
Yeah, it's hard because with Mario, I almost get it because 1 is so important, and then 3 is so refined.
Yeah.
I get it. So maybe you do just keep both of them.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're probably talking about removing something before we're removing Super Mario Brothers 1.
Yeah, there's
Super Mario Brothers 3 is staying on there, right? I think that one's just such a
probably.
Super Mario Brothers 1 is a lot of times, most days, probably my favorite game. But that's a very it's so important to me kind of decision. When I'm building this list, I'm not necessarily thinking about that. I don't think this is let's build a list that is the most easy to recommend NES games in some ways.
What? Can I talk to you a bit about the Final Fantasy situation?
Yeah, let's talk about the Final Fantasy situation.
Because I do think Final Fantasy 1 is the best of the NES Final Fantasies. I just legitimately do. I think it's super fun, it's simple, and I like the whole picking your class system.
I am surprised there isn't a Dragon Quest game on this list, though.
It's not right. Dragon Warrior as it was then just wasn't quite as popular. Right. The thing is, Dragon Quest / Warrior 3 is incredible, and it is, in my opinion, the best of the 8-bit JRPGs. Anyways, it's not quite as classic as Final Fantasy. I'm not that upset about Final Fantasy 1 being on the list. Trust me. But there's a part of me it's Dragon Quest 3 might be better. So, I could make that swap probably. But it's not a quintessential swap, but it's a possibility. So we should definitely at least consider Dragon Quest 3.
Dragon Quest 3 is now in consideration. I mean, if you want to just make that swap now, we could just do it. And I think it makes sense.
I think we should. You know what? I think we should do it. I think Dragon Quest 3 instead of Final Fantasy.
Okay.
It's a little. It's not an absurd thing to put Final Fantasy on there, but Dragon Quest 3 is amazing.
I think we're getting pretty close to having the games that are on the list. And then are you going to want to rank them? I think we should rank them. Yeah.
We should rank them. We will get there. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure.
Mega Man 3 is your favorite. Do you want to try to get Mega Man 2 or some of the other Mega Man games on here?
No, if it's my list, what do I think are the 10 best Mega Man games? 5 Mega Man games would be on that list.
Yes, yeah.
Basically all of them but 1. So I don't have to do that. I like 5 a lot too. I think Mega Man 5 is better than a lot of these games on this list for sure, but I'm a freak for Mega Man.
I think the last game that's coming to mind that I think I would I think it's very good. I played a ton of. It is a sports game though, so I'm not sure if it's the kind of thing that people would think is important enough for this list. But it would be Tecmo Super Bowl.
Interesting.
I think it's a crowd pleaser. It's one that's very easy to recommend to a lot of people. Still fun to this day. And it's it was the one that the most people in my life around me played. But I don't know. I just don't know if you can knock off one of these iconic games for a sports game. Even back then, when sports games were even more iconic then than they are now.
Let me throw out one because
Please.
There's part of me that thinks it's a shame we don't have Sunsoft representative here and list.
Sure.
Is Guardian Legend Sunsoft actually? No, I'm not sure.
Uh,
So that's Guardian Legend.
are you
Let me make sure.
going to do Batman?
That's Compile. Hell yeah, Compile. Compile freaking rules. Okay. I was thinking Batman. Thinking Batman.
Okay, Batman. Yeah.
Batman's rule a very very good soundtrack. There's a lot of good Sunsoft games. I think Blaster Master is something's a bit much for me with just how big it is. I respect how big it is.
Yes.
But it kind of hurts my brain to play it. The Silius, something of Silius, the one that's the run and gun.
Uh-huh.
I like that game a lot. It's also very, very hard, though, which is a bit of a detriment to it.
I have a real soft spot for Adventure
Journey to
Island,
Silius.
but I don't think I'm going to try to get Adventure Island on there. I'm trying to think of a rare game. I think my favorite rare game. Well, I like Battletoads, but I think
Battletoads Double Dragon is better than normal Battletoads.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even am I getting put behind a fence? Even RC Pro Am, I think is very good. I love RC Pro Am, but that's more like
yeah.
it's more one that you dabble with when you're like playing a bunch of NES games in one night. It's like the sixth game you get to, and you're like, wow, this is surprisingly good, and you kind of play enough of it. I don't know. I think it wears out its welcome.
Yeah,
fast.
like Sega Roll, I like fine. I never loved that one. So,
yeah. And yeah. I don't know. Okay.
Two more real quick.
Please.
I want to consider Kirby's Adventure.
Yep.
Super fun, super late game, but a very impressive NES game. It's an NES game that almost feels more like a Super Nintendo game in a lot of ways.
Definitely. Yes. Very colorful.
And maybe a nostalgic pick for me. I like Bubble Bobble a lot, actually, on the NES. I don't know if that's going to make it.
It's one of the best NES games for sure. It's like a top 25 game.
Yeah. So, I think that's interesting.
Now
the question is, what do we want to get rid of and should swap with one of these, right?
Just want to say it. I've grown more fond of it in recent years as I've learned how to play it. Excite Bike, actually a good game. It's just so weird in how it works that you kind of really have to learn it, and that's a pain. But back then, you would learn it. I remember I knew all this stuff at one point, and then I forgot it. And I was like, I'm just going to try to play this like a game I've played recently, and it didn't work that way. You had to I had to relearn it recently, and that's been cool.
Yeah, and maybe we should mention a few other ones that might seem obvious that we're not really considering. Like Metroid 1, I like Metroid 1, but it's not a top 10.
Zelda 2 it's going to be similar to the Super Mario situation and the Mega Man situation. If we're not going to put Mega Man 2 on there, we're not going to put Zelda 2 on here.
Right. River City Ransom is very, very good. I just don't think quite top 10 for me.
Double Dragon 2 is good, but
yeah. Metal Gear, I'd rather play the MSX version of that one. I like Star Tropics. That game has some second half problems, let's call it. It gets really, really difficult. I do like the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles beat 'em ups a lot, though. Maybe on my list, I would push those pretty hard. I don't know if I'm going to really push them hard on this one.
Man, the Turtles have just been around for forever.
They have been, huh?
So here are the games in the consideration pile: Contra, Ninja Gaiden, Tecmo Bowl, Batman, Kirby's Adventure, and Bubble Bobble. I'll make that a Tecmo Super Bowl.
Yeah. What do you think needs to go from the original list the most?
I don't know if anything needs to go, but I think I probably don't personally want to leave Tetris up there.
No, because it's a good version of Tetris. It's fine.
And I know it's the one that is still the competitive Tetris one, and I respect that. But for most people, still Tetris is the Game Boy Tetris. And that's where God, the Game Boy lasted so long. I think I would still put Tetris on the top 10 for that. But I don't think it needs to be here.
Yeah, it is that Game Boy factor, right?
It doesn't
that's
need
what
to
I
be
would think
here.
about more. Yeah,
Even
if it was like the DS list.
NES games, games that you really can't get anywhere else, or only could get in the arcade, like a Ninja Gaiden, and even then that was very different. So yeah, I'm deleting Tetris. So basically, we're saying we have one spot open.
Yeah, is there anything? I'm not letting Mega Man 3 go.
Well, no. Yeah, I mean,
obviously Zelda and both Mario's.
We can drop Super Mario Brothers. We can, but I don't know
for
what.
I want to.
Right, I'm saying we can, but we got to then figure out what we're going to replace it with, and I don't necessarily know.
Honest.
Yeah,
I'd rather. I don't think this is right either. I'd almost rather drop Mario Brothers 3 than 1. I don't think that's right either.
Yeah,
that's how I feel.
I don't think, to me, that's not crazy, but
let's figure this out first. Which game that is maybe going to be a list? Which one do we want to replace Tetris?
Yeah, this is tough. I guess when I look at this list, the one that like shouts to me the most is probably Contra. Then it'd be Tecmo Super Bowl for me, but I think that's gonna be a tough battle.
I think Contra was number one for me also. I think Contra makes the most sense.
I think honestly, Contra on the top 10 is right. I mean, again, I'm putting together a mixed tape of NES games to hand to someone. Contra's going to be on there.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's very quintessential.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good music too.
So what hurts you the most on the bubble? Not like which one not making it hurts you the most?
It is Tecmo Super Bowl and Ninja Gaiden would be the ones that hurt me the most.
See, and it's funny because for me it's like Batman and then Kirby's Adventure, right, and then maybe Bubble Bob. So it's like we're starting to split hairs a bit.
I think I think a lot of these in the bubble are going to probably stay in the bubble.
And like for all of these games, I could see the argument for them being the 11th best NES game. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. Yes. Yeah, absolutely. At least in that top 15 mix, because if we start like, okay, well now we're in 11, now we put in another Mega Man or another Super Mario, but yeah,
sure,
yeah, totally, it's in that mix in that 15 range without a doubt. Do you think we have our 10 then?
Let me read out what the 10 are, and then let's start figuring out the actual order here. So we have fixed the list, at least in terms of the games in it. Super Mario Brothers, Super Mario Brothers 3, The Legend of Zelda, Contra, that's a new addition, Mega Man 3, The Guardian Legend, Mike Tyson's Punch-Out, another new addition, Dragon Quest 3, another new addition, Castlevania, new addition, and DuckTales, new addition. So quite a few new additions, actually.
Yeah. So in total, how many did we swap out? Because he had those 2, 3.
There's 5 original games in there and 5 new additions.
Okay. Yeah. So he needed a lot of help, but not a complete reworking. Yeah. Fair enough.
There's some good ideas here. Again, I applaud the Guardian Legend inclusion.
Yes.
That's interesting. I like that.
Okay. Where are we going to move everything?
Well, let's figure out what number 1 is. I think that's easiest.
Mike, I think it's Mike Tyson's Punch-Out.
Well, hey, look, and I think it's Mega Man 3. So, the compromise might have to be a Mario game, as it always is.
I do think the game that's held up the best, like the one that is the most fun to play today, is Mike Tyson's Punch-Out.
I think Mega Man 3 is the most fun video game ever. You know that.
Yeah, I do know that. You do feel that way. So
who am I arguing with here? Mega Man 3.
Okay, then should we just do Super Mario Brothers 3 or Super Mario Brothers?
Should just say I'll tell you. I think we should say it's Super Mario Brothers 3.
Okay, I'm okay with that because I think for one that'll get us yelled at the least.
Yes.
and 2, I think it's probably the one I feel the best about compromising on.
Yeah. So
there we go. All right. Actually,
we'll compromise there.
Just delete these numbers. So
hey, look, Jeff. You may put Punch-Out at number 2.
Really?
Yes, you can put Punch-Out. Because Mega Man 3 should be 3 because it has a 3 in the name.
Oh, that makes a lot of sense when you say it out loud like that. I mean, it doesn't, but I'm going to take
just
it.
Just to show you how reasonable. Forget about Dragon Quest 3 down there.
Okay.
Or Super Mario Bros. A lot of 3s.
Yeah.
Really figure things out by the 3rd installment.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's why. But honestly, one of the reasons I'm excited about UFO 50, I want to see how that stuff progresses in that game because they're faking that. I love that shit. Okay, so right now with Super Mario Brothers 3, Mike Tyson's Punch-Out, then Mega Man 3. What do you want it for?
Maybe Castlevania.
Let me look at this list. It wouldn't necessarily be my number 4. I would probably do Zelda, but I'm okay with 4.
Yeah, well, guess what would it have been my number 2, Jeff?
So let's move up Castlevania.
There you go.
That's how that works. Oh, I just completely destroyed it.
There you go. Well, give and take.
All right, and wait, no, that was Castlevania, and then Zelda.
Probably then Zelda. Yeah, I think so. I think Zelda number 5. I think that makes sense.
What's number 10 on this list? Should it just be Guardian Legend? A game I played a lot of, but didn't get very far.
Probably number 10. Okay. Yeah. I think that's fine.
Yeah, I think that's a cool looking number 10. Okay, so that means we have Mario Brothers at 6, then 7 is Contra, 8 is Dragon Quest 3, 9 is DuckTales. Are we swapping anything in there?
I would like to put DuckTales up, certainly above Dragon Quest 3. Maybe above Contra, but if you feel strongly not that, whatever.
No, I'm okay with that. DuckTales is fantastic. That's I mean, God, now I'm like, I could in my head, like one of those Tiny Toons games could be on this list. That was
Tiny Toons 3 is pretty good.
Yeah, so
Tiny
good.
Toons 3 is not bad at all. It's probably the after the two Mario, after like the stuff on here, it's probably the next best 2D platform.
Yeah,
well, Kirby's
true.
Adventure.
Yeah, Kirby's Adventure. It's right there though. It really is. Okay. DuckTales rules. I'm totally fine with DuckTales right after Super Mario Brothers. Yeah.
Yeah, and now I it almost looks right now to me.
All right, well, read the
things
list
are
again.
ordered.
You want to maybe go from 10 this time.
All right, so the list now is number 10, The Guardian Legend. Number 9, Dragon Quest III. Number 8, Contra. Number 7, DuckTales. Woohoo. Number 6, Super Mario Brothers. Number 5, The Legend of Zelda. Number 4, Castlevania. Number 3, Mega Man 3. Number 2, Mike Tyson's Punch-Out! And number 1, Super Mario Brothers 3.
And no, Christian, I made a new list, so none of the other lists are on here, so I'm only moving the things around for this.
Fuck.
Yeah,
Okay.
there it is. Mike, that sounded good. That sounded right.
It sounds great
It sounds
to me.
like we fixed it, honestly.
I think it's fixed. I think it's fixed for your. You just
okay.
gotta put the numbers in there now, so by LCD's happy, we're good.
Okay, again, his original list was Super Mario Brothers, Super Mario Brothers 3, Legend of Zelda, Tetris, Mega Man 3. It's not Star Wars Outlaws. That's an ad. Guardian Legend, Mr. Gimmick. I forgot about Mr. Gimmick. Final Fantasy, Pirates, and Bionic Commando. Yeah, we have improved this list significantly, I think. All right, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Hey, that was a lot of fun. I liked doing that.
It was quick too. Like it was like
I'm glad you. I was just like at this one. We need a new game. We can't keep doing
listen,
just
I've been thinking the same thing for a long time. I'm like, I don't. What the hell is a new game? Oh, that's gonna take time to think about.
Game even, right?
And then you said that, I'm like, all right, fine, let's just do this. And then, hey, that was great. All right, I will post that. You can yell at us. I can't wait. Let's take another.
You should probably let Jared know.
Oh yeah, I'll tell. Oh yeah, it's a good idea. I will tag Jared. Maybe I could I'll just write the list over here in this break, and we'll have a comparison. Okay, we're gonna take a quick break. When we get back, we'll talk about what we've been playing and clean up the super chats right after this.
Sorry, Jared.
I was about to have a fucking aneurysm if you didn't put Mario 3 at number 1.
Listen, Super Mario Brothers 3 is, of course, probably just the best game.
I'm not gonna lie, the not wanting to be yelled at factor played a
very
significant
important.
role there for me.
Brothers, Super
I
Mario
like that
Brothers.
both of you being wrong, like nullify your wrongness because he forced you to pick a correct one.
That's true.
Yeah. It was like, we both have very strong feelings on what the best NES game was, so we couldn't move there.
Legend.
I mean, there was that I actually like. I have played a lot more Punch-Out than Jeff has played a Mega Man 3, unfortunately. So there's that too.
Yeah.
Ironic considering the shirt he's wearing tonight. I don't know if the audience can see it.
Yeah,
Oh, I love that shirt.
The blue bomber,
That
Pabst
is so
blue ribbon
good.
shirt. Yeah, it's a good
Yeah, that's a good one.
I love it.
one.
I have a shirt to give you on Sunday.
Oh, really?
Somebody sent us stuff.
Oh, really?
You'll see. It's fun.
Guardian Legend.
It's good super chats.
What are the last games on this? Mr. Gimmick, Final Fantasy, Pirates.
You should put the ad too.
Yes, Star Wars Outlaws.
To respect the spirit.
Damn it! You
Yeah.
made me forget. Pirates. Is that
Where was
right?
Dr. Ch- Imagine once we do one of these lists of the worst video games ever. That'll be fun.
Oh yeah, we'll definitely fix those.
Oh, did Grant Miller ever did a list? He has to. He's been in.
I'm sure he has the best PlayStation games ever list and
Yeah.
fucking Peace Walker is number 1 or something.
He's been in there for like 40 years, wasn't he? He's
Yep.
an old motherfucker.
All right, IGN list. The correct
Mario RPG.
Okay, let me do this.
Yo, list.
I love that we get to be kind of shitty too.
Yes,
that's a big
that's
bonus.
also very good for us, huh?
It's a great fit.
I like that. Man, that makes me feel
Negative
good.
reinforcement. Let's go.
Okay, I'm gonna tweet that, and then we'll come back, everybody. Fixed.
We fixed you, IGN. IGN also does like the very big top 100 games list for these things. So like they have a top 100 NES list, and it's different.
So much
than
content.
this.
Stop talking. And
I know it's different than this.
I've heard stories about that. They're like holding each other at gunpoint over those 100 lists, man.
Yeah.
Like they get serious about those.
The 100 list is closer to our top 10 list than the Jared Petty list.
Oh yeah, when you have big sample size, of course.
Yeah.
You are the voice of the people, they say.
All right, there we go.
Fucking Life Force. Yeah, there's a game.
All right, let's bring it back.
All right, let's bring it back.
All right, we're back, and I just tweeted that. I'm sure we'll start getting some yelling in here pretty soon. Although I think we did a pretty good job, and we fixed it. But now, Mike, I want to know, what have you been playing?
Yeah, gosh, it's still been a lot of Order of Ecclesia, and I'm like in the part of the game now where you are just at Dracula's castle, kind of that back half. So that's fun. After those kind of like smaller maps to just have the one bigger one now. And because it's like they do it late in the game, it's like every boss is very challenging, and you already have a decent amount of abilities out of the bat. So yeah, I've been enjoying that part of the game a lot. I'm sure I'll probably wrap that one up this weekend. So that'll be good. But yeah, more Marvel's Capcom 2. I forget if I mentioned that like my brothers were over, so I got to play some couch MVC2, which was
fun.
Just very nostalgic, because it's like, oh god, it's back to like when we were playing that Dreamcast version just constantly, and I was just playing against my brothers a ton. My hat team did very well against them, probably because I've been playing with that a ton, and they haven't really been able to play MVC2 regularly in a long time. But it's like, there's going to be characters you don't know very well, so it's very easy to kind of like give yourself a handicap or whatever by playing a team you're less familiar with. Or
that's what the Wazler does. He just plays with random characters each time.
Yeah,
it turns out there's no characters he doesn't know very well. Yeah,
exactly. But I tell you what, I do love just how much MVC2 like content there is right now. Lots of people streaming it, lots of people making YouTube videos, tier lists, and all that stuff. So just having MVC2 back in the conversation has been a lot of fun.
Have you learned how to do an infinite?
No.
For the love of God.
I'll get on that. I'll get on that. Jeff Grubb, how about you?
Yeah,
you want to talk about Flight Simulator?
Yeah, I'll talk about Flight Simulator. Yeah, I played some Flight Simulator. I really enjoyed myself. There's two things in there in terms of like stuff to do that I found very appealing. The career mode, which is a lot of procedurally generated missions that is just enough guidance, I think, in this simulator to be like, okay, I know there's a million things I could be doing. How do I decide? Am I just going to randomly choose to go fly a Boeing 787 from Buenos Aires to Australia? I guess I could do that. The game's like, well, we'll just give you some stuff to do, and we'll kind of give you a little bit of the feeling of progression and working towards getting certain pilot's licenses. And it's really smart. It works really well. They have robot AI voices, and not like they're pretending to be human. It's straight up just robot AI voice.
I prefer that.
I prefer that, and also it makes sense for a simulator. It's like, no, they're just being a simulator. It's faking it, and they're showing you that they're faking it. That's great. The other thing is some challenge modes that are gonna, like, I guess, swap in weekly that have leaderboards. I immediately just jumped into that, doing an F-18 flying through gates at the Grand Canyon. And it was beautiful. It was thrilling. It was they do a cool thing with the F-18 that they probably do in 2020, where if you are doing a very sharp turn, your pilot begins to feel the G's and starts to like blink and breathe heavy and almost pass out. And that's pretty cool. So they're simulating everything. I just thought it's just a lot of smart changes for a series that obviously did very well in 2020, and then has had a lot of updates and a lot of improvements, and you're like, well, what can they possibly do with a 2024 to make it feel like a new game? This feels new, and I say game, and they call it a simulator still, but clearly a lot of people come to play it as a game.
Simulators are games.
Yeah,
too.
Yes, I agree. And this one is the most video game, even though again they were adamant it's a simulator, but no, it's there's a lot of awesome game stuff to do in there. So yeah, and then of course I did that at the Grand Canyon, got to do a lot of fun stuff. It was like an old style industry event, like, hey, we're gonna bring out, and it's not like we didn't like get wined or dined, but like they paid for a Humvee tour of the Grand Canyon, and then they're like, now go play the game and see what that looks like in the game. I'm like, that's a pretty flimsy connection to kind of make me like, sure. I guess I'll do this comparison. Whatever, perks of the job. That's just how it goes sometimes. But yeah, it was a really fun event. It was, fly in, do the event for the whole day, and then I saw in the video, 2 a.m. we were getting up to catch our shuttle to the airport, and they wanted to get us there because they wanted to get us to the airport early. And we got to the airport at 3:30 a.m. and the airport did not open until 4 a.m. So all the four of us assholes are standing outside the airport before anyone else, freezing because it was cold in the Arizona desert. Flagstaff's not quite a desert, but whatever, it was freezing. And the lady drove past us. She's like, "I'm gonna come open it up." I'm like, "Okay, yes, please come open the airport." It was very weird.
That's incredible.
It was very odd, yeah, but it was a good time. Other than that, I did play some of that Wild Bastards. That Dan was telling us about.
Dan's real high on that.
And I'm getting there. I'm starting to get it.
Yeah.
It is a board game with little shooting arena sections as sort of the bonus things you get to do to sort of express the things you pick up on the board game. And, it's a board game in the same way a lot of roguelites are with all the nodes and things like that. But they kind of play that up enough that it's I do feel like it's a fun board game. And then you go in, if you are going in this hoping that it's a really deeply developed shooter like a Doom with you're going to go in there and say it's a good shooting loop and I'm going to kill that guy and he's going to drop something. I'm going to use that to power this gun. It's not like that. You're going to go in there and you're going to have powers and abilities that are still very cool, but it is going to be short and sweet. And then you're back out on the board doing stuff. And I'm that's beginning to click and I'm I'm beginning to really enjoy that part of it. So going to have to keep playing it to see if I like it as much as Dan does. But in the meantime, still kind of really getting the handle on it. And then UFO 50.
I want to play that. We were talking. We're both on the next Fire Escape cast, and you were talking about when we recorded that yesterday. This will come out till Monday. But boy, that sounds like my jam.
Is that not out? God, I thought
Fire
it was
Escape.
out.
We recorded that yesterday, Jeff.
I thought you were talking about UFO 50. Sorry, yes. God,
No. Yeah, Fire Escape comes out on Monday.
I lost the thread. Yes.
It's all good. This is like the 7th podcast you've done with me this week. My voice has long since been droning over your
exactly.
mind.
I don't hear you anymore. Those sensors in my ear have been completely stamped on. I am enjoying UFO 50 more as what are they going to do with this as I begin to start playing some of these games rather than enjoying the games themselves so far. I still have only played the first one, which is very rudimentary, deliberately so. And I find that exciting because I mentioned this, like you said, when we were on Dan's podcast, Fire Escape, that I'm a huge retro game challenge fan. And what they did there is the early games were rudimentary. And then as you played deeper into that, the games that would come out as part of this retro game challenge, which did a fake history of games, they would get more complicated and they would develop new genres and stuff like that. And I want to see the same thing happen here. And my understanding is that's exactly how it works. And I find that very exciting. So it's also got a really good CRT filter. So that's
there cool. You go.
Yep.
Yeah, I've been playing it too. And just for people to know, these are big games. They're not
right. They're not mini games.
They're not mini games. I was like, I'm going to try this one and it's probably going to end pretty soon. And no, we just kept going. Then I played the second one and just kept going. It's oh no, these are real ass games. They just put in this collections or whatever.
I'd be really interested to hear what the best game is once people really go through this thing,
Yep.
I play one that I really like. Sorry, that is your D-pad it moves one way and your face buttons move the other way. One is to right, one is left, and when you press both at the same time, it jumps, but it's convoluted. I never played a game like that, and it's so
is it
cool.
Like
and
Amplitude?
Then kind of, you just hold to jump right. You hold right to start walking that way, and then press left or press the D-pad, and you charge the jump and jump. It's crazy, and it gets complicated. Then they throw enemies at you that you have to bust them, and I was 20 minutes figure out how to do a bust them, and it turns out you have to hold the button while you're jumping, while you're in the air, and that kind of stuff's really cool. I don't know. They're long and they're big games. I don't know if I'm gonna get through all of them. Just it's too much for me.
Yeah, I mean, I am going to be interested also how I want to engage with these games. I'm sticking with the first one as long as I can because I want to see it out and be I wonder if I'll discover something in there that I'll feel really rewarded by just seeing if I can get through it. But it is frustrating, and again, deliberately so. But the fact that this is their initial sort of pitch of what this experience is going to be like, I respect that, and I kind of want to meet the game on its level to a certain degree. So, but everyone's going to do it differently. I think some people are going to do that for 30 seconds and then move on to the next one, and of course that's viable too. That's how these 50 games in one things were meant to be played, or if they were meant to be they were meant to be sold and forgotten about. This one's going to be a little bit different. So yeah. Anything else for you, Mike? Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Christian, please.
So it makes sense that they announced it to release it in 2018. I think the first trailer says out in 2018, and it came out in 2024. So it
makes a lot of sense. And then games. I'm I definitely imagine a world where we get a UFO 50 equivalent with Super Nintendo style games, but that would come out in 2045. So
yeah.
All right, Mike. Anything else?
No, I got a bunch more super chats here to.
Well, let's hit those and then get out of here.
Connell Wood says Final Fantasy VII should be like Back to the Future. So part 3 is a Western. Hey, Tifa wears that cowboy hat randomly in the flashback. So, we're not too far removed from that. CJ says, I think Claire Obscure is going to crush as it's what a new Final Fantasy should be. Grubb, look up Asus E12. You still need a high-end router.
Oh, I did get the MSI 6E router, and boy, it's been a massive improvement. The 6G signal, I don't lose that the way I did on all my devices before, to the point where my phone now just defaults to 6G all the time, and it would never have done that before. So I think I just got a shitty router before, and that was my bad for not really doing research.
Get a router that looks like a spider. The one that most looks like a spider.
This one looks a lot like a spider, which I'm not happy with.
I like spiders. Oh, that's right. You're having a bad day with spiders.
Yes.
Kevbot.org, the first super chat, thank you, says Astrobot will more than likely be Game of the Year. Game of the Year. But with how many fantastic indie titles have come out this year, would it be surprising if an indie game ended up getting that award? Maybe, because I'm just not sure which one would be the front runner. I think for me and you, it'd be Balatro, right?
Yeah, and I think
I have a hard time seeing Balatro winning Game of the Year at the Game Awards.
Yeah, it probably doesn't win it at the Keeleys. It probably doesn't even really get nominated, but it's not impossible for it to get nominated. I don't think there's no standout like Hades. That's the kind of game that can win Game of the Year.
They're going to cannibalize each other a little bit, like your Animal Wells and your UFO 50s. And what else would really, I don't know, Pokey Squire quite made it up to that tier.
1,000 Time Resist. Please, somebody in this goddamn call play that game. I'm so it's crazy.
Hey now. Yeah. Speak for yourself. I've been there.
All right, Mike, you had to try it out.
Yeah, that was very smart of you to move on quickly from me. Yeah.
Look, Grubb's the one with the press account. You should play it.
Grubb's the one who doesn't know how to read, Mike. You actually like visual.
Exactly.
I forgot about that.
Thank you, Sean.
I always forget I gotta be honest, I always forget what this game even is. So, I don't know. Pokey Egg says, did Mike see the Mega Man Battle Network costumes in the Dead Rising remaster? No, but I do plan on playing that for sure.
I've been playing that. It's fucking awesome. I got the Ken outfit, and it's awesome. He really deserves the deluxe part of the remaster part, because the issues when
this is going to be the definitive version to play now. I want more of this type of remaster. Please make it a thing. I got good news if you're talking about Capcom games. They will find a lot of other games to do this too.
Fuck yes. I want. What if they do a? Oh, never mind. I'm not gonna say it because I'm gonna jinx it. I'm Argentinian. I can't say stuff that I want out loud, and it won't happen. So let's move on.
Bruno Trigger says, here's $5 to fix Jeremy Parrish's list/ranking of best Mario games in a future installment of the fixed list. That's the one with Super Mario Brothers U as the best Mario game ever, right?
Yes.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Let's go.
And to be clear, as someone who defends some of those new Super Mario Brothers games, that's also just wrong. The Wii one is better than you. It just is.
It's better than you.
It's better than you.
Mikey O'Leary says this NES list disrespects the important job Donkey Kong Jr. Math had in educating latchkey kids.
The best Donkey Kong game on NES is just Donkey Kong. Donkey Kong 3 is fun too.
They had a pretty good Donkey Kong Jr. port on there.
Yeah. Donkey Kong Jr.
But yeah, I'd rather play Donkey Kong.
Yeah,
for sure. Just FUD says, hey guys, Fahogwa Gods here. Quick question. Want to let Mike know I went to Club 33 in college because of my ex's doctor dad, the Duck Confit, The furniture was amazing. Loved looking down at the boards. What the hell? My doctor dad never got me to Club 33.
Club 33 is like the fanciest restaurant?
It's not that. It's exclusive. Like, yeah, there's a waiting list to get in. You have to be in the actual club to be able to go there.
Okay. Is this that club that couple just got kicked out of and they sued Disney?
Yeah.
Okay.
This is the one. Yeah, this is the one.
Okay. Huh. What made, like, is there something else too? Like, is the club like a real like club? Like a country club?
It's mostly a restaurant, is my understanding. I haven't been there, so
Okay. Shit.
Yeah, but it's it's exclusive, and there's that mystique to it, right?
Right,
And
of course.
Do you have to be like the son of a
It's where they keep the head.
member?
We have to be rich for sure. I don't know. I don't think it's like the stone cutters. I'm not exactly sure how it all works.
Hey, speaking of 9/11, on 9/11, I got home and we put on, I got home, like I went out for a little bit and came back home and put on The Simpsons, and they played the Stonecutters episode up until the point where they're like, we paint the buildings blue so the planes will fly into them, and then the episode cut off, and they're like, they started playing another one, and it was like one where Marge was afraid of flying, and then they cut that one off too. It was pretty amazing.
Awesome.
Did they get to the one where Homer went to New York and did a bunch of jokes about the Twin Towers?
They for some reason they didn't have that one ready to go. Yeah.
It's like, oh, I've got crab juice and Mountain Dew. I'll take a crab juice. That's a good show. Hey, that's it for the Super Chats.
All right.
Thank you, everybody.
All right.
That's good. We're done.
We did it. All right. God, anything like any housekeeping we mentioned earlier? We'll be at the Cleveland Gaming Classic this weekend on Sunday.
Cleveland Gaming Classics weekend. We'll be on Firescape with Dan Reichert, Mike Mahardy. That's coming out on Monday, I believe.
Yes.
There is a new 90s Disney where
if the lazy editor will ever get it done.
Well, who knows?
Hey.
me, AJ, and Chris have a new 90s Disney where we talk about our favorite meals in Disney. We'll talk about, speaking of Club 33. So that'll be fun. I've been having fun trying to help Jeff too with his reservations, and he told me his, and I think he did good. He's gonna have some.
It was a lot of it came down to like, well, what's the stuff that might be the most magical for the kids? So we did end up doing a lot of character meals, which I think is a good one for their first time as young kids.
Sci-fi dining is gonna be fun.
I am very much looking forward to that.
You have to go look at the Rocketeer references there for me.
Oh, 100%. I'm right. I'm like number 2 Rocketeer fan. I love that movie. I watch it once a year.
Good stuff.
Otherwise, Giant Bomb stuff tomorrow.
Voicemail dump truck. Listen to that. I thought it was pretty insane today.
That was a pretty good voicemail dump truck.
Who is on it? You two and who else?
Bailey, Dan, and Mr. Bacalar.
It was a good time. Honestly, a lot of good stuff on Giant Bomb this week. So go check out everything. The Blight Club was fantastic.
The
Germany travelogue.
Seen it yet.
My travelogue for the mini travelogue for Grand Canyon. You can see you can see Vinny on there.
Hell yeah.
Then tomorrow we will.
Dean.
What's that? Oh yeah, and Dean. Yeah, well, Dean flew my plane for a little bit. Tomorrow BCR we will talk. Tam is going to be able to tell us about Dragon Age.
Wow.
So he got to play
that was a different segment. 6
to 7 hours, and there were a lot of previews out there for that. A lot of people seem very into that. Are you feeling pretty positive about that game now?
I felt after they showed me like the first hour of the game, I felt pretty positive. Like, this is going to be a good one of these.
Yep, and now it seems like, God, everyone's like hyping it up a lot now. So I got on my fantasy critic, very happy about. And then for UPF, we'll do a grubby bag kind of thing. We're going to play a bunch of games. We'll see. All right, everybody. Thanks for listening. Until next time, have a good one. Take care of yourself, and goodbye.
I beat it last night. Oh, you beat it?
I beat it.
Yeah, I definitely beat it this time.
I'll beat it first.
Hurt yourself.
I think our collection is perfect now.